Now, let us look into the last exercise of terraform. That's we will run a nginx server in our local host using a docker containerization technique and then terraform. So for to do this exercise, let's write what all things are required for us. So yeah, so exercise, run a docker container nginx service in localhost local machine. So for that, the prerequisites, the terraform should be installed. Then after that, you need a docker desktop as it is a Windows machine. And then once docker desktop is ready, then we can do the rest. All other things will fall in place. So but most important thing is, for this docker desktop you need to have, for docker desktop you need to have WSL, that's Windows subsystem for Linux 2 version. So these are our requirements. Once it is done, then we will create a we'll write a configuration file, and then we will format, validate, and then apply it, and we will host that nginx service. So that's what the process we are going to do. So let's jump into my local host machine and we'll see what all things we have. So first let me open git bash directly here. So clear the screen, and then I'll give terraform and then subcommand terraform help. So this means I have terraform installed in my system. If you do not have, then you install it using choco install terraform the easiest way, or else you follow the manual procedure that I have explained in the first exercise of hands-on terraform. So we have terraform. So now let me check. So we have terraform. Let me go to the sticky note. So mark the terraform. Then what is required is docker desktop. So let me click on open docker desktop, and I have installed the docker desktop earlier only. So if you want, you install the docker desktop. It's just a manual procedure, it's not that difficult. It's a similar way of installing an application, normal application, the similar way it also goes. So it's not that difficult, you can install, or else we will be installing docker desktop again in our docker module, in docker module of iDevOps course. So if you see this, so docker desktop failed to start. So failed to start. Anyway, so we have a docker, that's the first important thing. So we okay, so for us we have docker desktop. So I will cross this one, but it's failed to start. Why? So docker desktop requires, as I have mentioned in sticky note, so docker desktop requires Windows subsystem for Linux. So that's the reason docker desktop failed to start, and it is red engine failed to start. So now I have to install Windows subsystem for Linux, Windows subsystem WSL, and after that only, that subsystem for Linux WSL, and then only I can move on for further to execute this exercise. So let me type WSL. Yeah, this I have, but I need to have a WSL. This is by default it comes, and then I need to have a WSL2. So for that what I will do is I will go to the Microsoft Store, and then in this I will type WSL. Go to the apps section and then WSL2. So Windows subsystem for Linux, it's free, so let me select this one and then click on, so Windows subsystem for Linux lets developers runs a GNU Linux environment including the most command line tools, utilities and applications directly on Windows unmodified without the overhead of a traditional virtual machine on a dual boot setup. So it has to come get, so it's taking time. So let me get back to this and then click on this one more time. Okay. What's the issue? It's taking more time. This product, yeah, rest all it's fine. So anyway, here, yeah, the get option is available. So once you click on the get option, it will ask for your permission. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? As of course I would. So now it's started downloading the WSL, that's Windows subsystem for Linux. So once it gets downloaded, then it will be installed. It's 151 MB, it's huge MB. So installing WSL through the store will allow you to get the latest WSL updates and features faster, so and without needing to modify your Windows version. To learn more about this version, you go to this page, you visit this page, and then you see. Okay, so basically 152.1 MB is the total, and 32.61 megabytes is the one has been downloaded thus far. So it's going to take more time. So by the time we will get into the, yeah, by the time it gets downloaded, what will we do? We will uh, get into this folder and we will create a third exercise. So here, so I'll create one more exercise. This I'll name it as nginx service terraform. So I'll just open it. So let me check the, yeah, it's 88.61 MB. Okay, so by the time we'll write it, this is the place where I need to write the so terraform, basically using Docker container. So the name of the file I will give nginx service docker tf, that's the correct one. So now I will create a file. So let me open it in VS Code. Show more, open with VS Code. Yeah, let me close the get started and get back to the Microsoft Store and see the status. 136 MB. Okay, by the time let me click on this. Now the file name I'm gonna give is nginx service container instance container nginx service container dot tf. Yes, that's the name we have given, and let's check the status. So it's completed. So downloading is completed. So now it takes some time for installation. So let it buffer for more time. So by the time, what will we do is we will type the code. So we will write the terraform file. So let's begin with the terraform block itself. So terraform block, and then the first argument in that is a required providers Again we'll have a sub block, a nested block. In this I want to use a Docker, then again we'll have a nested block. So in this I have to mention our first argument. The source is, so KRE cruise worker or / Docker, and then version greater than or equals to 2.13.0. Sorry. Yeah, it's done. Let me open Windows subsystem for Linux. So it's ready. Okay. Let me open it one more time. So now I'll close this and then I'll type WSL. Yeah, we got the new one, the latest one. It's in. So now let me type Docker desktop and open it. And still Docker desktop failed to start. Okay. So now let me go to the documentation and find the exact WSL tool that we can download. So it is terraform documentation, HashiCorp developer. So here we'll go with the terraform. What's terraform? Yeah, not this one. Use cases AWS. Okay, install with the AWS, and here we have install terraform. And then in this, let me go and find the place where we can find. So Docker desktop, where is that Docker desktop installation? I just want to find out. This is terraform installation, then terraform, quick start, Docker for desktop, and Docker for Windows. So WSLT2 location. So let me get into that place. So install Linux on Windows with WSL. So this is, when you copy this, so Windows PowerShell run as administrator. This is not the way. Windows PowerShell. Yeah. So now paste it. Windows subsystem for Linux is already installed. So that means our Docker desktop should start. Where should I? So now what's the issue? Apply and restart. Yes. Or maybe I have to restart the complete system itself. Okay, there is a lot of setup is done. Now let me reopen the Docker desktop engine. Docker. So turn on Docker desktop WSL2. Choose WSL2 based in checkbox apply from the Docker menu. Settings general. Use WSL2 engine. Yeah, it's that only. Expose daemon on TCP. Okay, where? So let me. By default, it was checked. So now from red to orange, it's been changed. So now it's time. So RAM 0.667 GB. So it's become engine is starting. So let's so once it gets started, so let's work on. So RAM 1.5 GB, 1.50 GB it's taking. Okay. So reset to the factory defaults only. I don't want anything else. Reset the Docker desktop your factory defaults. As it's reset it. So now the status engine is stopped again because it's being resetted. So once it is done, let's begin. So actually I uninstalled the WSL just to explain this thing. So now while installing we face some issues and we solved it. Okay, so it may take a few more seconds to solve it. So by the time we will get back to our uh, VS Code and we will write the code. We'll write the terraform configuration file. So our docker block is done. Then our first terraform block is done. So now let's write provider. Who is the provider here? Before the provider was AWS, but here in this case for us the provider is Docker. So that's what the label I'm gonna put. So Docker, and then inside that Docker host, I have to give the host. So that is npipe forward slash 4 dot forward slash to pipe and then Docker engine. Docker engine. That's our provider. Then this is also done. So now let's move on to a file and the next a block, that is a resource block, and Docker container. A Docker container is the first label, then nginx is the second label, and then open the block. And inside that image, so Docker image and nginx latest. That's what we're gonna check. Nginx dot latest version. So then name of the project, it's for learning purpose. Then ports you want to expose that. Again sub block. So internal port which is 80. For if it is external port, that is 8000. Then I will. So I think block has been closed. That's it. Enough changes are done. So now let's get back into the uh, Docker desktop, but still it's taking time to start up. Okay, so apply and restart. By the time at least I will sign up. Yeah, that's correct. And then password is also correct. I hope. Yes, it's processing. So verifying the credentials and so it's been logged in. It's connected with the GitHub. Sorry, Docker Hub. So now I have to restart the system. So let me close this and then reopen the Docker desktop. So Docker desktop stopped. It has to start. So settings. Okay, still it's taking time to start it. So WSL. So after so long, so the docker is up and running. So that what are the problem that we have faced? That's because of WSL. So we have installed the WSL, but it took some time to get back to it took some time to start the engine, because see, it's like bike. When if you don't use a bike for almost 6 7 months, the engine will be cold and it's very difficult to start. Same thing happens. So here there is no oil, so there is no WSL, so obviously it's very difficult to start the engine as quick as possible. So Docker engine took some time to come up. So finally Docker engine has come up, you can see that. And I have logged into my Docker hub also. So I logged into my Docker hub, containers, images, volumes, everything you can see. So our Docker is up and running, our Docker desktop is up and running. So now let's get back to our work. So here is the file that we have written. So I will go through this file one more time. Of course we have discussed about the same when we were writing this file. However, I just want to explain, I would just want you to take you through this file one more time. So it begins with the terraform block. So terraform block consists of a required providers nested block. Inside that you have a docker nested block. So this docker nested block consists of a source and version. So version is very important. So here I put cruise worker / docker. This is the provider I want to use. So note this down now. So I will show you after doing terraform in it. So there the version I am going for is 2.13.0. So this version I'm going for, and then this is the terraform provider for docker I'm going to use. That's cruise worker. Okay, so that's one block. Then we have second block, that's a provider, specifically docker, and then host. Then the third block is about the docker image. Here you can clearly see a resource, even the uh, block label itself is a docker image, and after that nginx. So here we have mentioned the name of the image as nginx, and then with the latest tag. Okay, so then we have a docker container. So you build the image and after that you run the container. So label is docker container and then in nginx. So but from which image you want to run the container, so that's what the first argument is. In this image arguments we have mentioned the docker image. You can see docker image, it's a reference to the docker image block is on, which is on top. So this has been a reference to here. So when you reference this dot as an attribute, nginx is the attribute, and latest is the another attribute to get the latest version. Okay, so then name, in spite of giving learning, I thought to give the better one, that is nginx server terraform, nginx server terraform container. So that would be the nginx service would be better, nginx service terraform container, and then ports expose this container to 80 and external port 88,000. Okay, so that's it, it's all done. So let me minimize this. Of course you can see the complete piece of blocks in the terraform configuration file. I will save this one. So now let's get back into the action. Let me clear the screen and let us see ls. So lsa, so array, let me check. Yes, it's done. So now ls a to see the hidden. So you have only nginx container.tf. So this is the only one you have, so nothing else. So now what will we do is we will clear the screen first and then we will initialize the terraform. So terraform initialization, that's terraform init. So initialization started. So now what it will do, it is finding the cruise worker docker plugins. That's the version that we are looking for is 2.1.3, 2.13.0. So I hope I will get it. So it's done. So terraform has been successfully initialized. So you can see terraform has created a log file, that's .terraform.log.hcl, and in addition to that, it has also downloaded the plugin of terraform provider docker. So let's look into that. So let me clear the screen first, and then it's ls. Yeah, so you got, after initialization, a .terraform folder, a .terraform directory, and .terraform.log.hcl, and then this is anyway configuration file that is existed. So now let me get into the .terraform file. Yep, ls, we a providers directory is there. Then let me get into the providers directory, then ls registry.terraform.io. so here in this directory we'll have all the terraform providers, but for this purpose we have asked only one provider. What is that? The provider that we have requested is cruise worker. In that we want a docker, and then version of that is 2.13.0, whatever way you pronounce, that's fine. So let me get into this also, and then ls cruise worker, you can see that cruise worker that we have mentioned here. Got it? So now let me enter into that also, ls. Now we find the docker. So that's what we have mentioned here, docker. So cd docker ls, it's 2.13.0, that's the version that we have mentioned, 2.13.0. so then we will enter into that also, and ls Windows AMD 64, then Windows ls. Here it is terraform provider docker version 2.13.0.exe. this is the binary file, this is the main file. When you run a git in, sorry, when you run a terraform init, when you initialize the terraform, the plugin will be downloaded in this fashion. So, and other one, read.md, this is markdown file. Change log.md, this is also markdown file. If you want to see that, read mg, you can see that, that's not an issue, but it's not much of use. So let me get back to our work. Where are we now? Okay, we're back. We're exactly back on our working directory. So now let me clear the screen. So now we have, as we have initialized it, ls-a, as we have initialized the terraform, now it's time to format it. So terraform fmt, so one file should be formatted, the changes to be done, so that the minute changes that will be done by that. So terraform fmt, so the changes have been done, so no file has been printed on the screen. So that means all set. Now it's time to do terraform validate, and then we'll plan it. So terraform validate, forget about the warning that has been deprecated, this dot latest, that attribute has been deprecated, that's fine. But finally the success message we got, the success message got displayed on the screen. The configuration is absolutely valid, but there are some valid warnings as shown above. That's absolutely fine, that's absolutely fine. So now let's do the plan. Terraform plan, as usual, warning has come, that's okay, neglect it because we are using the old version, but still fine. But the plan is to add two add two, and then 0 to change and 0 to destroy, so now let's get into the core of the terraform. That's to apply all the changes that we want to the infrastructure. that using terraform apply. So the action started. So we have gone through this terraform apply response in our previous slides and then previous examples. So here I'm not going through it completely, so directly, but here the special things I want to mention is docker image.nginx will be created. So it's going to build the docker image first, and then after the docker container. So that thing, that's fine. So now it's asking 2 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So do you want to perform these actions? Of course I want to perform, so I would say yes. I will say yes. So I have said yes. Now it's time. It will create image first. So docker image nginx, it's creating the image. Whatever the way it will bring, that's okay, but it will create the nginx image with the latest tag. Once the image has been created, then it's going to go for obviously running a container. Let's see. So 20 seconds elapsed, still the image hasn't been created. I think what's going on here. So it's taking too much of time, I guess. Let's wait for few more seconds. 40 seconds elapsed and still docker image hasn't been. Is there any connection issue, login issue? Let me check my docker hub logged in. There is no issue. Still, what is the issue then? 1 minute gone, 0 seconds elapsed. 1 minute 10 seconds. So docker connection is fine. 10 seconds elapsed. Why it's taking too much of time? It's supposed to be done by now. So let me check. It's okay. This is proper. Login is also there. It crossed 1 minute 20 seconds. Oh, 30 seconds. What's going on? So I'm just okay. So network is also fine. Network is also okay. 1 minute 50 seconds. I do not know what's going on here. It's supposed to fetch the image by now. 2 minutes gone. Oh. I'm just waiting for. I do not know how much time it will take. It's keep on elapsing the time. What's the issue? At least it should have thrown the error. Okay, done. Fantastic. It took some time, but that's okay. So it took almost 2 minutes 21 seconds. That's huge, in fact. That's huge. Normally it should be 1 minute maximum, or 30 seconds, 40 seconds, but it's huge. Okay, anyway, so our docker image creation complete after 2 minutes 21 seconds, and this is the docker engine, and then it's the nginx latest, and then id, image id. So then it started working on the docker container. It started running the docker container. So docker container creation complete after 1 second. That's fantastic. Then this is the idea of that. So apply complete, resources 2 added and 0 changed, 0 destroyed. So now let us go to the directly to the browser and type localhost 8000 and click enter. Localhost 8000 and enter. That's it. Your application has been hosted using container in your local machine at port number 8000, because this is external. This is external. So whereas the internal one is hosting, expose it to the internal inside the container, that's port number 80, and then port number 80 is mapped to the external port number 8000 of the local host machine. So this is how so successfully we have hosted the nginx default web page in your local machine using docker and then terraform with one piece of configuration file. That is the power of terraform. So now let me go to the Docker and let's see whether it is possible to see that container or not. Here it is. You can see the container, I hope. It is nginx service tf container. This is the name we have given as nginx service tf container, and then its image name is nginx latest. Of course, that's what we given, image nginx latest, and then it's running, and port 8000 is mapped to port 80. Then it's 2 minutes ago it has been started, and then it's up and running. Now let me stop this the container from the Docker desktop and see what's going to happen here. So let me refresh the page. It's gone, all gone. It's gone, all gone. So now it's we will restart. That's how. So it proves that it's running from our Docker. It's a Docker container from our host machine at port number 80. So the port number 8000 of the container has been mapped to the port number 80 of the host machine. So that's the reason you're able to. Sorry. So other way around. So the port number 80 of the host machine, this is what the port number 80 of the 80, port number 8000 of the host machine is been mapped with the port number 80 of the container. So that's the reason you're able to access here, but we are unable to access here because we stopped the container. So let's start the container again. Yeah, now it's container, it started just 0 seconds again, 4 seconds ago. So now let's go to the browser and check whether it is working or not. Refreshed it again. Welcome to nginx. It's all set, all up and running. Your container is up and running and your application is up and running. You are able to see the web application, default web page of your application on your screen. Now it's time to destroy the application. It's time to destroy the resource that we have created using that. So for that, if you want to stop this application running on localhost 8000 port, the only option that we have here is again get back to your the simplest and then fastest way is we have a lot of options. You stop here and you can delete it manually. All those things we can do it, but the simplest way that we can do here is just come back to your git bash and clear the screen first, and then you give terraform and destroy. Yes, it's done. So it's basically minusing all the things whatever that it has added. So the plan of this is 0 to add, 0 to change, and 2 to destroy. So now it's asking, do you really want to destroy all the resources? Yes, of course we want to destroy. I'll say s a docker container dot nginx has been destroyed first, and then image also has been destroyed, nginx latest. So both the things has been destroyed. So now let's get back to the docker and let's see what's going to happen. Here it's gone, the page itself is gone, and let's get back to the browser and see what's going to happen. So I'm going to refresh it. So refreshed, and it's gone. No application because there is no resource such, so that's why, that's the reason it's gone. So here there is no container, so container is also gone. So images nothing, volumes nothing, containers nothing. Okay, all gone. So that's how with a one command you can create and you can destroy, you can update and you can change the resources. So this is the benefit of terraform. This is the That's the reason I really like the terraform. I hope after this course, after this complete sessions, you also started loving the terraform. So if you love the terraform, if you like my course, keep watching it, keep subscribing it, keep liking it, and keep spreading it, and enjoy the course, the next course that's coming forward. Enjoy the modules that are coming ahead, and then as usual, all love from my side to you. Thank you, and see you again on another module of intuitive DevOps for you course. Bye bye.